let's see, am I in the frame there? All right, I don't usually do vertically proportioned or vertically oriented review videos, but for the purposes of this one, I know some people have been curious about my standing desk, and I have a separate video on the Ikea parts that I used to make this and how I adjusted it to my height with or without shoes. You can basically measure to the bottom of your elbow and figure out what that height or that optimum height should be. Anyway, the purpose of this is, I don't think I ever uploaded the review video of the Wobble Stool. And the Wobble Stool is what I first started with when I made this desk, because the idea was to stand, because I was having a lot of lower back pain and I was sitting with bad posture and I was wiggling all around and doing all these things because I was at the computer for too many hours a day. And probably a year and a half ago, when I stopped working out all the time and everything else, this got worse. So immediately when I started standing at a standing desk, within probably a month, my lower back didn't hurt anymore, and I had much better posture and everything else. The only issue was I started doing it without shoes on, kind of like you see now. I actually have a special set of shoes that I only keep, or that I bought just for standing at my standing desk. They're like old man's walking shoes. But I can like wear them around, whatever. I don't wear them outside, so nothing gets stuck to the bottom of them. Like if you ever had gum or like a rock stuck in there, and it's like you don't notice it for a while, but it sort of tilts your foot and shit like that. I didn't want any of that to happen. Anyway, long story short, what was happening after about 6 months or so of using this is when I wasn't wearing shoes, I had no arch support. So my feet and my ankles and my knees started to hurt. And I often found myself, as a result of doing that, I would like tweak my body on one side or another, or I'd be slumped like this, or I'd be like this, and I'd be like that for an hour, and I wouldn't notice it because I was really, really into what I'm doing, or what I was doing at the time. So, read a bunch of reviews, found this Wobble Stool, this handy dandy Wobble Stool from Amazon, used this for about 6 months, and then this didn't really work out well for me either. So what you're supposed to do is have it high enough to where you kind of have to get up on it, and then you sort of sit like so. Now, this looks like it would work well, correct? What happens is, for somebody of my height and my size, I'm about almost 6 feet tall, about 5'11 and a half, and I'm anywhere from 205 to 215, unless I'm really cutting or working out heavy, which I'll be down to like 198 at the lowest. This is spring loaded, and what they didn't tell you was over time, depending on how you use this and if you're wearing shoes, because if you're wearing shoes, your knees are elevated a little bit more, and what happens is, unless you're at the exact angle, what happens is over time, the spring compresses even more, the more weight that you put on it, so you end up, in order to be at the right height, which is here for me, because if you dip too low, the elbows actually drop, and then you have a wrist issue, which was the whole reason for the desk to be at the right height. Ergonomically, it needs to be like an inch below your elbow height. So ideally, you want to be standing and have your wrist resting flat about an inch lower than your elbow. And you need to take into account whether you're wearing or not wearing shoes as well. So if I'm wearing shoes, it's basically like this, which is fine. The issue comes then when you don't realize that this becomes uncomfortable, or it's not the right angle, or you're wearing shoes and your knees are higher, so you put more weight and you slump. See that arch in my back now? How I'm hunched over like this? You can be working and then also you're looking up because the monitor level is not at the right height anymore. You should be up here to where you look straight at the screen or maybe a little bit up. Keep your neck straight, keep your shoulders back. And then the other thing is you can tweak on this thing too and not notice it. So you can do this, you can do this, and then it becomes basically like sitting in a chair. Now, the results of using this are better than sitting in a chair, 100%. There's no question that this setup is better than sitting in a chair slumped over at a low desk all the time. Now, I built this desk with standing 100% of the time in mind, but what I didn't know was that I was going to have ankle pain and feet pain and everything else. So I tried the Wobble Stool. That didn't work out well for a long time. And then I realized, I wonder if worrying about some of this stuff all the time is hindering or hampering my creativity. Because a lot of times you sit down to write, and if you're not comfortable, it kind of takes your mind out of, like the writer's high mode, or, you really get into what you're doing. You got to stay focused for a couple hours at a time. Sure, you can take breaks, but you need to pick up where you left off and find that inspiration and everything else. So I finally bit the bullet, and I bought this chair. And I have been so happy with this chair. I haven't used the Wobble Stool in over 6 months. I have to look up, you know, I don't even know what kind of chair this is because I've had it for a while. Let me search my Amazon account for chair. What? Come on, man. No office chair? What the hell? Well, I'll have to figure out what this is and put a link in the description below because my Amazon account is not pulling up the order within my orders. Does that make sense? I don't think it does. Anyway, I want to talk to you about this chair because I couldn't have been more pleased with this chair, and I'm so happy that I switched to this because now I get options for standing and sitting. And I'm trying to find the brand. I don't remember. I should know the brand right offhand. But I don't. It's a common one. It's one of the highest rated ones on Amazon. I don't know. I don't want to make you wait for too long. I'll do a review post on cleverleverage.com. So just go to the blog post or look in the description below this YouTube video once I upload it, and I'll put it in there. But basically, it's a mesh back, and the difference between this chair and most chairs is that it goes up to a height of, I believe, over 36 inches. And then it also, the reason why I bought this one, I had an inkling, I had an intuition that this was going to be really, 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 really important. And it turns out that it is. It totally is, and it makes all the difference in the world, and I'll tell you why. Have you ever driven in a Honda Accord or a car where you sit real low? And if you're kind of a taller guy, the distance between the floor and your actual seat is fairly low. So it makes your leg angle something like this. You know, it's kind of like a long sloping, because you got your legs out like this, but you're not very high up off the floor. And then you get in a truck, and you sit in a truck, and the seat is way higher off the floor. So when your leg comes over the seat, it basically sits straight down, and you've got a lot more options on moving your butt in and out and changing the angle of your leg. And for somebody like me, it's a lot more comfortable on long trips and driving. And I realized that this is exactly the same thing. And let me show you why. So for some of the time, for part of the day, I stand, and that's great. Doing monotonous tasks, doing email, doing all that kind of stuff, I stand all the time. When it comes to writing or doing creative stuff, I sit. Or if I give myself, like, to me, working at night is not really working. I don't have to do my mission critical stuff at night. I do my creative stuff at night if I want to work extra. And it's kind of like playing. So I get to sit. It's kind of like a bonus. So if you can see how high this is a lot higher than the Wobble Stool to start with. And in addition to that, the footrest. Now, I have had a sinking issue with this chair because I am a little too heavy, but it still lines up with everything as far as ergonomic height that I need for the standing desk. So for me, this is the perfect setup. And right now I don't have shoes on so that you can actually see the position of the feet and everything else really well. The only thing that would make this chair better is if I made a stool or if they put the ring out here. So that way, for part of the day, I could actually raise it up even more and take the pressure off of the seat, or the chair underneath my thigh, and put it on the butt for part of the day. So you can kind of like change, almost like a squatty potty, but obviously we're not going to take a shit in the chair. Point being, this is the perfect solution that I've found for alternating between standing and sitting. Because now I don't have to move my desk. It feels like you're up high. I can have good posture. I can have armrests or not. These adjust up and down. You can take them off if you don't want armrests. A lot of people say that if you get rid of armrests, your arms hang freely and that helps with ergonomics. But if you look at the height, I'm just under 6 feet. And this is a perfect height for me with the chair all the way up. And it sags about an inch at my weight. My weight right now is about 203, 205. That's down from about 210, 212 when I first got the chair. And it's lasted. The springs haven't compressed or anything like that. No crazy things like the Wobble Stool. And it's definitely high quality. I don't remember how much I paid for it. I think it was like, I want to say it was between $150 and $280, somewhere in there. And if I can find the damn brand, I think it was, I want to say, what is this? Oh, buy it again. Imagine that. It doesn't come up in my orders, but it'll let me buy it again. Okay, I bought this item on January 10th, 2016. It is now June 15th, 2016, so it's been almost exactly 6 months. It's a Eurotech Apollo Meshback Drafting Stool. That's what I forgot. It has a 26.5 to 36.5 inch seat height, which is way, way, way higher than normal. Most of the high drafting chairs, I guess that's what this is called, the drafting stool, go up to about 30 to 32 inches. And from all the measurements and calculations that I took, and for most people, if you're over 5'8" to 5'10", it's not going to be high enough for you, because what happens is the ideal measurement for you standing with shoes on to the bottom of the elbow is too high for a 30, we'll just call it 28 to 30 inch chair. You'd be sitting like this, and then of course you get a wrist issue and you get a head issue and everything, and nothing works well. So this chair has the most adjustability of any chair that I could find. It's actually the only one that I could find without spending $900 on a whatchamacallit that I wasn't sure if I was going to like, because I did not think that this was going to work out as well as it has. I just bought it anyway because I didn't really know what else to do. I called the Wobble Stool people and asked them if there was any way I could drill out the shaft and install a bolt so that it would stop sagging. And they just kind of were like, if you have a machine shop or something that you can. I was like, yeah, whatever. You're not very. Because I originally called and said, hey, do you guys offer different compression springs? Can I take apart the shaft, take the spring out, and you send me one that's for a heavier person? Send me one that's for somebody that's like 300 pounds or something. So that way when I sit on the bitch, it might sag 1/4 of an inch, but it's not going to adjust, or it's not going to affect the, like anything else, the mechanics or the ergonomics. So anyway, long story short, I have been super happy with this chair. It's fully adjustable, you have great posture, and for creative writing time, everything is set up to where I don't have to focus on body position or anything else. I'm still up high, which I really, really like, and I don't have to have a desk that moves. I didn't want to have to create a wiring harness to where I had a motorized up and desk and all this, or up and down desk and all this bullshit. I wanted it to be stationary so that it's solid. I don't want it to go anywhere. I can screw it to the wall if I want. And so long story short, this has been the ideal solution, and I would highly recommend this setup over all the other stuff that I've tried. I don't know if I ever uploaded the other review videos about when I first got started in this. It was kind of like a learning process. I didn't really know what was going to be most helpful. All I knew was that if I kept the same body mechanics of sitting in a chair, hunched over all the time, doing all this shit, that I was really going to have low back pain for like the long term, which would be terrible. So highly recommend the Eurotech chair, not so much the Wobble Stool. And if you're thinking about doing a standing desk, check out some of my other videos. This has probably been the best thing that I've ever made. It was sort of a pain in the ass to build it first, but I could show you how to do it now, and it would be a lot easier. What Ikea parts to buy. All this is Ikea stuff. Even these. I like these because they look beefy. Like Tim the Toolman Taylor. No, but to me it's important to like your workstation. It's important to think that it's cool and want to create a setting that's badass. And I think the only thing that I haven't talked about is maybe speakers, subwoofer. I stopped playing music in most of my videos. I like music, and I like to have music on even when I do review videos. The fucking YouTube, even if there's like a 2-second clip of some popular song in the background that you can't even hear, the fucking sensitive microphones pick up on it, and then it flags my video for copyright and does all this crazy shit. And it's like, guys, I'm not trying to steal your music here. I'm trying to review chairs and talk about standing. Give me a break!